Hello YouTube, welcome to today's video. In today's video we are gonna be talking about my experience with transferring. I have transferred my first account and retransferred it, and today's video is gonna be about my experience, what are my LP gains, some myths, as well as some tips in case you want to transfer. First off, this is part 2 of the Transferring Regions series. First video is right here, Transferring for MMR Boost and LP Gains Explained. This video will basically explain the system and how it works, whereas this video is strictly about my experience and my LP gains with doing this transfer system. So I transferred a master account, my master Smurf account called Illegal Jungle Gap, from E West to Norwegian East. And in the first game I was unable to play duo due to the fact that I transferred a master account. If you transfer an account that is master or higher, you can't duo because you can't duo in masters plus. But if you end up transferring an account that is diamond 1 or lower, then you can duo from the very first game. But I was unable to duo the first game, so I started doing from the second game. I started in plat 4 and that was surprisingly low. It was 800 LP lower than where I transferred from. Whereas the typical start point is actually 500 LP lower. So if you are masters, you would start in plat 1. And if you are diamond, then you would start in gold 1 from your very first game. To talk about the placements LP gains, they are pretty much identical, if not then very similar at least, to just regular placements LP gains. So there's not really any advantage from transferring when it comes to the first 10 games. You basically just get regular LP as if you just did regular placements without transferring. I did dodge 4 games throughout the placements, but it did not affect my MMR whatsoever because I didn't dodge all that many games. And I ended up going 6 wins and 4 losses, which meant that I ended up being plat 2, 59 LP. After I then played those 10 games, I then transferred back to E West and started playing my placements on E West. I was then actually able to duo from the very first game because I now transferred from plat 2 instead of transferring from masters. So I was able to duo from the very first game. And I ended up going 5 wins and 5 losses, so not the best, but it's a pretty average point. I think everyone can go like 5 and 5 or 6 and 4 at least. And then yeah, I started it in plat 3 and ended up being plat 1, 19 LP at the end of placements. To talk about the transfer system itself, there are some people, and we'll get to this a bit later, but there is a myth that transferring and then instantly transferring is better than transferring, playing 10 placements on one region, and then transferring back to play another 10 placements. I have not tested this myth because this is the first time that I've transferred an account. And I simply decided to play placements on the region that I transferred to and then transfer it back. But some people say that transferring and instantly retransferring, so you only play placements once, is actually better and will make you start higher, basically 500 LP lower than where you transfer from compared to the 800 in my case. If it's true or not, I don't know, but a lot of people believe this. So if I had to suggest what you should do in case you want to transfer, then I would suggest going to transfer and then instantly retransfer. I think that is better than transferring and playing placements and then retransferring, playing placements again. In terms of the difference between the two, we are talking about the starting point. So instead of me starting plat 4, I'd have been starting plat 1. So there would be that 300 LP difference. So I'd basically be 300 LP higher for free if I did this method, I believe. But again, I haven't tested it. Then after the placements, what are my LP gains looking like? So I ended up being plat 1 and I got plus 27 in my first game and it was a bit disappointing. But in the second game, I ended up gaining plus 34 and I was very surprised. And I was then told that you can continuously gain more than plus 34 LP as long as you just continuously win. But that unfortunately did not happen to me. I then got plus 20 LP because I was at 80 LP and then got to 100, so I got into my Diamond 4 promos. But I believe I would have gotten plus 34 if I was lower LP. And then I ended up going 3 and 2 in my Diamond 4 promos, so I did promote to Diamond 4, but it did cost me 2 losses. And then I instantly promoted to D4, and in the very first game I ended up losing, so I lost 1 LP because I only had one LP at the time. And then in Diamond 4 I went from gaining plus 34 at most in Plat 1 to gaining plus 29, plus 30, plus 29. And then I got plus 16 because that's what I needed to get 100 LP. And then I ended up skipping from Diamond 4 to Diamond 2 because my MMR is really high. And I believe as long as you're gaining more than plus 25, plus 26, then you are basically going to be skipping the division from Division 4 to Division 2. And we're now sitting at Diamond 2, 42 LP. And we are... we ended up losing the first game, so I lost 1 LP once again. I then got plus 26, and then I lost the game, I lost 10, and then I got plus 26 once again, and those are basically my current LP gains. So I would have liked to see what my LP losses were in between all these games, but I was kind of lucky that all of my losses were either in promos or when I was either 0 or 1 LP after I just promoted. So the actual first game where I ended up losing, where I could see the exact amount of LP I lost, was actually this game right here where I ended up losing 10. I also believe that I would be gaining more than plus 26 if I didn't end up losing 2 games here in the promos, losing 1 or 2 games in Diamond 4. I believe that I could have gotten more than plus 30 LP still in Diamond 2. But after you promote, it is very common, so I ended up going from D4 to D2. Even if I won every single game, I still believe that the LP gains would be a little bit less, simply because now your rank are closer to your MMR. So let's say your rank is Diamond 4, but you have Masters MMR. So then you get skipped into Diamond 2, so you skip Division 3 of Diamond completely. Now you're much closer to your MMR, because Diamond 2 is a lot closer than Diamond 2 is a lot closer to Masters than D4 is, and therefore the LP gains will simply still get reduced even though you won every single game, because it's just getting closer to your new MMR. And then another myth is, I've been told that some people say it depends on what your last season rank was. So last season, Illegal Jungle Gap was Diamond 1, as you can see right here. Diamond 1, 17 LP is what it ended. And it is actually not based off what rank you're transferring from, but it's based off your last season ranking. Again, I have not tested this theory, so I can't say if this is true or not. But some people have basically told me that this is potentially also a theory that some people have. To then talk about the different lobbies that you get put into, it will be a combination of Smurf queue and really high LP lobbies. So compared to if you create a fresh account, the lobbies will not be 10 Smurfs every single game. It will be between 0 and 4 Smurfs for each team, so there will never be 5 Smurfs. And the lobbies will be a mix of other transferred accounts that are playing their placements or just finished their placements, and then fresh accounts, and then people on their main account. So it's not as bad as Smurf queue from fresh account, at least in my experience. And then one thing to note is that when you get closer to the rank that you ended up transferring from, so I transferred from Masters and I'm now sitting in Diamond 2, the lobbies that I'm being put into are a lot higher than what they were when I was Masters before I ended up transferring. I'll basically showcase that right here. So even though I am not Masters yet, I'm already being put into a lot higher LP lobbies than I were before I transferred. So just to give you guys some examples, they're still between Diamond 2 and Masters, but the difference is that if we take a look at some of my teammates here from these games that are Masters. And this one as well. Typically before I transferred, I'd be in like high Diamond 1 into low like sub 100, sub 200 LP lobbies. And as you can see already now, being in Diamond 2, I'm playing with players that are 194, 141, only 27, 117, 300, 400, 279, 155, 97, 84, 0 LP, 400, almost 500 LP, 575 LP, so basically super high master, low grandmaster, 196 and 89. So the lobbies are a lot higher already than before I transferred, and basically by the time I get to D1 or I get to masters, I'll be put into more grandmaster lobbies than master lobbies. So this is something that you need to keep in mind, that you will be put into games that are higher elo, even though you're just close to the same rank as you were before you ended up transferring. So can I recommend transferring? I think it's a pretty broken strategy, and if you really want to climb on your main account, it's definitely a way to climb if you're not having any good LP gains as of right now. I was gaining plus 17, plus 18 in Masters before, and minus 16, minus 17, so I'd have a plus 1 LP difference between wins and losses. So if I won one game and I lost one, I'd be up by 1 LP. Whereas right now, I would be, if I went 1-1, I would be gaining plus 26 and minus 10, so I'd be up by 16 LP, despite just going 1 win, 1 loss. So yeah, that's basically all the info that I have for the transfer. If you have any questions regarding transferring, then leave it in the comment section down below. I will be responding to all of it. And there will be a final video regarding transferring. And that is basically going to be when I get this account to Masters, I'll be comparing directly the LP that I'm gaining in Masters before and after transferring. So before I was gaining plus 17, plus 18, and minus 16, minus 17. And we will see by the time I get this account to Masters, what are the LP gains looking like, to see if there is a direct advantage by the time that I get to the ELO before I transferred. So if you're excited about that, remember to leave a like on this video. And also subscribe so you don't miss out on that video. I can't say when that video will be out, but it's roughly when I've played some games in Masters. Then I'll basically be making that video. I'll also be making a video comparing the direct LP gain difference between transferring and fresh accounts. And so far I can say that you have the possibility of gaining more LP per win compared to transferring, or compared to playing on fresh account, because fresh account will give you plus 28 minus 5 for a very long amount of time, as long as you're consistently having a 67+% win rate. And then eventually it will drop. Whereas here you potentially end up losing a few more LP for losing, but you also gain a few more LP more for winning compared to going on fresh account. So there are pros and cons of going for a transfer compared to just going for a fresh account. And that's basically everything for today's video. So yeah, I hope to see you guys either in my next YouTube video or in my next live stream on Twitch. Thank you for watching, and see you guys.